Hello, and thank you for joining us for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, Michelle Kane with Voice Matters, and my wonderful co host, Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. Hey, Karen, how are you today? Oh, the bell will engage us.
I am here. We are recording this on a Monday and it feels very much like a Monday, but
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you doing, Michelle?
Yeah, Monday is Monday. Could be worse, could be better, but
Yeah.
we're in the thick of summer. And I think in both of our locations, it's like a rainforest. The humidity is not giving up. And I'm asking myself, was it like this last year? And I just didn't care as much, but
Yeah.
it feels like every other day there's a massive thunderstorm warning. I'm really getting annoyed to the point of, wait a second. I like summer because I can actually make and do plans. I don't have to worry about leaving my home in peril, right? Which again is a very cushy East Coast thing. And here in Pennsylvania, we are very, very fortunate for the most part, natural disaster wise. So I do come
Yes.
from the perch of being spoiled by weather over the
Yeah.
decades. But yeah, 2 Tuesdays in a row, I'm heading to appointments and there are literal tornado warnings. And I'm thinking, look at the sky and think, roll the dice.
Not fun at all. I
No.
agree. It's been I'm trying to lean in, but
Yeah.
here too, it's either too hot, too buggy, or it's storming. So we haven't even been able to sit outside
No.
and just enjoy like sitting in the yard and reading a book because it's just miserable. Like
Yeah.
there's one thing or another. So
Yeah. Anyway.
yeah.
So, awkward segue to other things that annoy us
Yeah.
these days. Social media.
Social media.
This is what we want to talk about today. Just honestly, there's been, as we all know, many of us and our fellow PR pros
Yeah.
have gone through all of the emotions with many of the platforms. I mean, X is monstrous anymore, but yet there are still journalists there and there is still information exchange. So we just want to dig in a little bit about the different platforms and like what makes sense for us as PR pros. Do we suck it up and still pop in, at least on behalf of both widening our knowledge or just knowing what's going on out there? And what do we recommend for clients? So that's what we're going to bump into today.
And I think that there's no right or wrong answer. It
Right.
really has to be a personal decision. But it is getting really difficult in this day and age to find any company that in this space, in the technology
Right.
space, that you feel good about supporting.
Mhm.
So there's plenty of reason to dislike all of the platforms. I
Yeah.
think that everyone agrees that LinkedIn has remained a place where they still feel comfortable going and sharing.
Yeah.
But let's face it, a big part of our audience, particularly if you're doing consumers, are just not there. They're not participating on LinkedIn. The people who work in corporate jobs are not on LinkedIn during the day
Right.
in the same way that, people like us who work for ourselves or professionals who, have a stake in being there. It's not the norm.
Right. It's very true. Very true. And even, use of the platforms, the rest of the platforms is sporadic at best. For a number of reasons. I think enough time has passed that the shiny has certainly worn off of social media because if you go back, 15 years, everyone was like, oh, yeah, no one's going to pick up anything print or look at anything else ever. And, as we've moved through this, we're realizing that's not true. And I'm not sure that all types of businesses have fully caught up with that. I know I've come across many who think, well, no, social media is where it's at. It's our silver bullet. It's going to build my business. And no, it's just yet another way to reach people. I was talking with a sales rep just the other day about that, about how you really do need to remember to diversify your media buys. Billboards still matter. Broadcast to a certain extent, depending how you do it, still matters. And that you really do need to keep that in mind because especially as the generations flake off. Flake off is not a good word to say, but the demographic breakout, if I might be more professional. But younger people aren't on Facebook, and some people aren't on Instagram, and TikTok is who the heck knows anymore.
It's interesting that you said that, because I think that that's the other big part of this equation. And it's an issue. And again, you have to consider this for your clients and for what makes sense for you. We do have multi generations that we're marketing to, that we're working with, and they are very different in the way that they consume information. So in my own family, I have people, seniors, that actually watch the broadcast news.
Yeah.
I was visiting with a relative in the hospital, and they had the news on, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Because it just seems weird to me. And they're telling me all the stuff that happened that I really didn't need to know. So in my mind, none of this is important to me. Who are these people, and why are you watching this? But that group really relies on, broadcasts for information, and that's where they get marketing. Now, they also choose some social media channels. So you have, and then, with my family, I have people that TikTok shop is how they find out about products. It's where they get information. Other people, it's Facebook. Facebook is a very, very vibrant place. For example, if you market to the Black community and you're not on Facebook for a big part of that community, you're missing them. They're just there. That's where they go. They show up. They're posting constantly. They're engaging. They're using the stories. And, we've all run away from a lot of these platforms. We don't want to be there, but we've reached the point. It's like, okay, well, there's nowhere else to run. And some of our people are actually over here. So, I don't want to lose either my community or lose the opportunity to be part of these conversations on behalf of my clients or on behalf of me and my job and my work. So,
Right. No, it's true. And I think it all comes down to the core principle of where is your audience that you're trying to reach, spending their time and making sure that you're there. And this is especially true with, the growing demise of local print media, which even the people that love to hate it, they rely on it because I see it, people saying, "Well, I didn't know about that. How would I find out about that?" And I think, yeah, that did play a bigger part than you even realize in how we all get on the same page, so to speak, information. And I'm talking about like events and light things, but or even staying engaged as far as your local school board matters and things like that. Now you have to seek that information out. So you have to be inclined to look for it. And I think the issue there is the juxtaposition is we are still to a certain extent, even though, solid print readers may be raging out. I don't know, they say Gen Z likes print. Anyway, my point being, I think we're still attuned to, well, no, the news will come to me. I don't have to go seek it out. And then, of course, you've got the misinformation. When people do seek it out, sometimes they hit on the treasure trove of misinformation, and you have the current hot mess of our world.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know that
to be a downer
in the time that we have today is something to really think about and to really, again, it has to be a personal decision. If you have ethical reasons for not being on specific platforms, that's stand by your ethics, stand your ground. You have to live out your values. But if there's, if it's just like I don't really care for whomever, we might need to rethink that for the purpose of, still putting the people, I guess, above the platform, because, it's just, we're boycotting everybody. The list grows so long, and then you talk to different groups of people and they're like, we're boycotting them. I didn't know. So it's even getting hard to keep track of, like, okay, who are we boycotting?
Wait, for what, for why, for how? And I kind of think of it this way from the professional point of view. And like you say, unless there's some, adamant reason when you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's just, we can't. And there certainly are those reasons out there.
For sure.
I think of it this way, like, yeah, like, I don't have to buy time on a radio station that sorry, my brain just broke. I don't I don't have to listen to a radio station to buy time on it for a client, right? Like I might not like the genre of music, but I'll still pursue radio spots for them, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so kind of
Agree.
think of it that way. If you're doing the work for your client, it's like, oh, okay, I don't spend much time here, but I'm going to post this content and keep an eye on it. So it's in that realm, it's a similar vein. But it's the luster has certainly fallen off social media, and I think too, as we've discussed as well, just the energy and time it takes. I
Yes.
think the pros and cons of that, we're starting to think,
Yes.
I'd rather go
Yeah.
be with people for an hour instead.
And we want that for you. We want you
Mhm.
to not increase your utilization, save yourself, save your mental health, go read a book, take a walk, laugh with somebody, sit in silence and, meditate, anything, but spending hours doom scrolling, that's just not healthy for any of us. But I would say that in this second half of the year, as we're reviewing PR strategies and what really works and what really works for you and building community, because we need support too, and we need that sounding ground, you know, take a look at some of the platforms and see today with an assessment that is not emotional. And again, barring those platforms that you really are like, I cannot, just take a look and assess, like, it has my audience stay there or have they returned there? Were they migrating, and what might make sense for me to re-examine?
Exactly. Exactly. And we'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you're experiencing. Tell us how you're feeling. Hit us up at soloprpro.com. You can send us some notes there. And please do share this around if you got any value of it at all. We value that you take the time to listen every week. We really do. It's incredible. So until next time, thanks for listening to That Solo Life.